So, what can you tell people, especially on the twin flame path, how to collapse the lower vibrational timelines and access those higher vibrational timelines and anchor them in over here?
And one very amazing way to collapse your timeline is that to understand that the way we have this theory of multiverse, that there are so many versions of planet Earth existing simultaneously at the same time. So every choice that you make is diverting you to your choice and it creates your reality, right? So all that, mm, whatever if and but and sorrow and pain and whatever, that completely went out of the window, and suddenly I had this very powerful feeling in my heart. And sometimes you feel that you are so lonely, there is nobody with you, and then suddenly you have this feeling that no, even if nobody's there, God is with you, and that kind of evidentially comes to you. Oh, that kind of made a big shift in my life. So that there are, okay, after my twin flame passed away, there have been a lot of experiences where I got into the liquid state, liquid colors, geometrical forms, they are changing, and all that, which is kind of activation of the third eye, I would say, in a very aggressive way. I did experience this other dimensional shapes and forms and colors and different places. And somewhere I have this understanding now that there are certain realms that are liquid. Dollar scan and books are very much uh, working as activations for many people. Suddenly you start remembering certain things, not consciously, but somehow you start becoming aware of certain things spiritually. So it was like a picture of that person, that it was not moving, it was a picture, portrait picture of that being, along with a blue orb alongside with that frame. So it was very clear for me that this is a very high soul having a blue orb in that, and it was very divine. Like,
Hi, this is Akanksha. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. If you resonate with me, please like, comment, and share. Welcome to Multidimensional Soul podcast and a talk show. On this show, we talk about deep spiritual and mystical experiences of people which we normally shy away talking about. We are more than our physical body, we are spiritual beings on a human journey, and we discuss how a soul exists on multiple dimensions. We discuss science, technology, and spirituality point of views and perspectives on this show. Our purpose is to open our minds to limitless possibilities and our hearts to love and shine the light within bright. Our guest today is Pradnya Pandit. Pradnya is an artist, an author, a writer, mentor, and a twin flames coach. And she's been relentlessly helping people, holding their hands, people who are dealing with their pain, trauma, and confusion. She provides guidance and support to those who are on a journey of spiritual transformation, and she assists them in opening their hearts and shifting to higher consciousness. Pradnya has done bachelor's in advertising and she's done her master's in visual communication design from IIT Bombay. She worked with MNCs and she was having a flourishing career in UX design in IT. Later on, she shifted to Dubai and then she worked as a creative director with quite a few international advertising agencies and publishing houses. She's also worked as a filmmaker and then eventually she started her own branding studio. Later on, things started shifting for her after her spiritual awakening aggressively in 2011. After her awakening, she started writing about her experiences about twin flames, spirituality, and awakening on Quora in 2016. And shortly, she was recognized as a Quora top writer and the most viewed writer in topics of twin flames and spirituality. Currently, she has crossed over 76 million views on Quora. She started her YouTube channel in 2020 and then she published her first book in 2023, which became a number one bestseller. She conducts private sessions, group sessions for those who are stuck spiritually or on a twin flames journey. So I've always had this wish for a long time to have a conversation with a twin flames expert. Nowadays, twin flames is so much talked about across the world, and some think that it's a trend, some think it's a fad. But trust me, I can speak from personal experience that it's a spiritual path or a journey, and it's not for the faint of heart. It's a complex path that involves going through tower moments, dark night of the soul, and doing a huge amount of inner work. I had a really long conversation with Pradnya. I had to divide this into two parts. In this conversation, we talked about what are twin flames, how they're different from soulmates, why is there sudden or rise in twin flames, how divine feminine and divine masculine awaken through chakras, what is the runner chaser dynamics. Then Pradnya shared about her own difficult twin flame journey, how she met her twin flame, then how her twin flame actually crossed over from this physical world, how she connects with him spiritually, and how he guides her from the other realm. She also talked about her deepest spiritual experiences of visiting other realms, other dimensions, of aliens, and collapsing lower vibration timelines, multiverse. We talked about, can you really change your past? How to align with your higher self, discerning between ego and soul, and how to protect ourselves from darker entities, and much more. This is a two-part conversation. The first part is being released on this Friday, and the next part will be released the next week. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with Pradnya, and we uncovered a lot of things, very deep, very spiritual topics. I hope you get guidance or messages from the universe. If you're on ascension or twin flame journey, any spiritual path, do tune in and share in the comments your experiences. We have with us today Pradnya Pandit, who is a twin flame coach. A very warm welcome, Pradnya, on Multidimensional Soul talk show and a podcast. It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm very much excited because I think this is my first face-to-face interview because so many times we speak on Zoom and online sessions. So it's a great feeling to meet you personally face-to-face and talk. So yeah, thank you for inviting.
Okay, awesome. If you're coming across this video and you've not watched part 1, I strongly recommend that you watch part 1, where Pradnya and I discussed a lot about what are twin flames, how are they different from soulmate, why is there a sudden rise of twin flames in the ascension, how divine masculine and divine feminine awaken through chakras, what is the runner chaser dynamics and how can you stop that. Pradnya shared her difficult twin flame journey and how her twin flame crossed over from this physical world, how she connects with him, how he guides her. So, how to connect with the loved ones who have crossed over and take guidance from them. All these things are covered in part 1. So, I suggest watch that video first if you've not already watched that. We've talked so much about what happens in the twin flame dynamics, and the twin flames are currently here from ascension perspective. And you've been on this journey for so long, and you're doing wonderful work in terms of coaching the twin flames and even on the ascension process. So, what has been your deepest or most profound spiritual experience in this journey?
So there are several. I can share a couple of them. First that is coming to my mind is very simple, which actually started my spiritual journey, and that was as I shared my journey initially. There was a time when my twin flame had not replied to my letter, and it had been almost 7 years that I fell in love with him. Then there was this no contact phase for no talk phase for 5 years. Then I sent him a letter, and again 2 years went after that. So almost 7 years. I was so much in love with this guy. I expressed my feelings after 5 years. So 2 years, I was in kind of a limbo state that, okay, I'm not expecting anything, but at least acknowledge something for me. And there was one day it was a threshold that how long I can just keep very nice feelings about this guy. And this guy is like, he looks like he doesn't care. I used to see him every day around my house, but he wouldn't look at me. He would act as if nothing has happened, even after reading my letter. So I was very much upset. And one day I came from somewhere, and it was around 7 o'clock in the evening. And I went to meet my friend who stays just next to his house. And I saw him standing with his friends, and I was so angry. And I said inside my mind to God that all this love and whatever, blah, blah, it all exists in movies. There is nothing, no concept of love or faith or whatever big things we are talking about. All is bullshit. Basically, I was so angry. And I said, I'm not going to see a face of this guy ever after. And I had come to this conclusion or feeling so many times in my life that, oh, I just want to forget him. I don't want to think about him. My life is such a mess because of this whole feeling. So I want to give up. But I could never do that. But this time I was 100% determined that enough, like how long I have to do this. He doesn't care. So somewhere I was even doubting the existence of God. That not like all this is like real this thing. So I just give up, I looked at him while going to my friend's place, and I said this to myself that this is the last day. I'm not going to think about him tomorrow. I know that it's going to be difficult, but that is it, like no more. Somewhere I have to look after my own sanity as well. So I decided this 100%, and I just looked at him as a last this thing that, okay, this is the last time I'm looking at him. After this, I'm not going to pay attention to this guy. I spoke to my friend about something, and maybe after 5-10 minutes, I was returning home. He was not there where he was standing earlier. There was nobody over there. So I was going back to my house. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, he came from his bike and he stood in front of me. And he said, I want to speak to you. I got your letter. And I'm like, oh my God, like I have been waiting for this guy for last 7 years. Okay, in some or the other way, in some or the other form, I have been looking forward that someday he will come, he will say something to me. He didn't come. And the moment I decided that this is it, like 100%, I had that time comes that you are able to let go from your heart 100%, that okay, no expectation whatsoever. I 100% give up, like give up or let go, whatever you want to call it. I had just done that 20 minutes back. Okay. Within 20 minutes, he came and he said that I want to speak to you. Maybe not now because it's too late, but let's meet. I want to speak to you about this thing. So I said, okay. And then she said, okay, bye. And he went. So it was just like a 2-minute conversation in the middle of the street while I was going back. And I just stood there for 5-10 minutes, just feeling completely different. And I was like, oh my God, the thing that could not happen in last 7 years just happened in 20 minutes after I surrendered. So, completely let go. And that was like a big realization for me. And more than feeling happy for this fact that he came and he spoke to me, I suddenly started realizing that means somebody is noticing my thoughts, right? Otherwise, this couldn't have happened. And that was like a big shift in my life. And I still remember I couldn't sleep the whole night that day because I was too happy, too overwhelmed by this whole thing that, oh my God, he came and he spoke to me. And even more than that, I was like, you know, you are really paving one inch forward in your life for something, and then you give up on it, and then you say that the god does not exist, and then suddenly within 20 minutes everything shifts for you, and then suddenly there is this dawn in front of your eyes that, oh, god exists, because otherwise this couldn't have happened. So it's like a biggest testimony the god has given to you that, no, don't worry, I'm there, I'm listening to you. So I won't say this was like a very paranormal sort of a experience, but it was a very evidential experience for me that really shifted so much for me. Suddenly, from the next day, I was so confident that this guy is going to be with me, All that, mm, whatever if and but and sorrow and pain and whatever, that completely went out of the window. And suddenly, I had this very powerful feeling in my heart. And sometimes you feel that you're so lonely, there is nobody with you, and then suddenly you have this feeling that, no, even if nobody's there, god is with you, and that kind of evidentially comes to you. Oh, that kind of made a big shift in my life. So that I would say that was really a start of my serious spiritual journey. So far, I was on a spiritual path, but this incidents really shifted a lot for me. And amazing thing is, all such spiritual experiences have always been weaved around my twin flame. I don't know why. I never had a standalone spiritual experience. It was always intertwining with my twin flame's existence for whatever reason. So this was one. And another one which I shared with you, that was also another synchronicity, that I was so much in pain in my life, and I thought that I really want to get rid of this energy of my twin flame. And I went to a past life regression therapist to remove my cord or whatever. I wanted to get rid of that energy. And after I did one session, the next day morning, I saw this flash when I was half awake. A clear message coming to me that please try not to go back. So it was a guidance coming to me that said that you don't have to do such sessions, or you don't have to do cord cutting. And I cancelled those sessions. But that was another incident in my life. At that time, I was married, which clearly told me that there is something beyond the physical realm that is watching me, that is guiding me, and it is also taking care of me by warning me of certain things that, okay, don't do this, do that. I was not even aware of I'm being a twin flame or anything of that sort. I was a normal struggling person. But I did understand that, okay, this is coming from some higher realm, and it's a very serious message. That also shifted a lot of things for me. And that somehow that message also gave me the strength to cope up with my pain. Because somewhere it also told me that you don't have to go and release your cords or anything. Face it. You have to face it. You can't go somewhere and get rid of it. So that message also gave me the strength to face my pain. That it's okay. I think somebody is watching me, so I'm safe. I just need to face the pain. So I understood that. And so that was also another thing. And the third one, there are many, but okay, one thing that is coming to me was after my twin flame passed away, there have been a lot of experiences where I got into the liquid state, liquid colors, geometrical forms, they are changing, and all that, which is kind of activation of the third eye, I would say, in a very aggressive way. I did experience this other dimensional shapes and forms and colors and different places. And somewhere I have this understanding now that there are certain realms that are liquid. So it feels like it's a liquid. You are in literally like a liquid wave. It feels like it's water, but it's not water. So it's like, it's not a water as a physical water, but I can describe it as a liquid state. Mm, it's not air.
So this happened in meditation or dream?
Both. But mostly I would say, okay, in waking, in dreams also I have, but most of my guidance doesn't, I mean, dreams is not my primary guidance channel. It comes from dreams, but it's not on a moderate level. But mostly in my theta state or meditation state, mostly I would receive such things. So that liquid thing is also very, and it keeps happening. It's not like just once. Whenever I reach a certain level or whatever, I keep experiencing that liquid thing many times. So that's something which is really amazing.
So in that, do you yourself become liquid, and are there like different colors, and
Yeah.
how is it?
Mostly, yeah. Sometimes I'm myself. I am able to make myself different from the liquid. Sometimes you don't understand that you are also a part of it. And most of the colors that I would see in those realms is turquoise green, magenta, purple. These are the three colors. There are other colors also, but these are the main ones. Like you literally feel like you're flowing into that purple magenta kind of thing. So that's one weird thing. I mean, it's beautiful actually. It's nice, but you can't really fully describe that in words. And another thing I have experienced in certain realms is that there is one realm. According to me, it's 7 dimension, but I might be wrong. But that's what comes to me. It's a realm of flowers or floral geometrical patterns. So whenever I have gone there, I don't know how to describe that, but it is even more vivid than the 3D.
Okay.
Okay. So when you see that realm, you feel that, oh, this is like very crystal clear. It's like the way we are seeing things around in 3D, this is also very vague, that's how sharp it is. And once you start looking at those flowers, you are aware of every damn angle or every damn part of that flower. Normally, if you look at a flower, your mind will just pursue what you're focusing on. But in that realm, when you are going, it's like you're aware of every damn aspect of that flower. Its petals, its color, its depth, its stem, everything. Like you really are able to perceive that. That's very weird. And mostly that sort of a vividity I have always experienced in that flower thing only. So, and how that flower looks is like it has 4 petals. Exactly, I don't know what it is called in English, but in our language it is called the boots flower. It's like a big tree with 4. It's like the flowers hang down like a bell.
Ashoka.
No, it's a very typical fragrance flower. So that realm exactly has those flowers or similar flowers, and there is a specific geometry of 4 petals. And once you get there, you are like completely aware of those geometrical patterns and those flowers, and that realm looks white and gold with the flowers. So that is one space I keep going, not on my wish. Even if I wish, it's not possible. Like I tried doing that. That set I intended, okay, I want to visit that flower thing, but it doesn't happen. But it comes whenever it has to come. So that's another like different type of experience. And
You had mentioned about Dolores Cannon's. You read Convoluted Universe, and
yeah, I was reading a book, Convoluted Universe Part 1. And somewhere I believe that Dolores Cannon books are very much working as activations for many people. Suddenly you start remembering certain things, not consciously, but somehow you start becoming aware of certain things spiritually. It happened with me. So Convoluted Universe part 1, 2, 3, 4 are very intense. And somewhere I believe that you can only read it if you are holding that frequency. Otherwise, you can't hold that book in your hand. Because when I started reading part 2, it started becoming so overwhelming for me, and some sort of fear started coming in my stomach. And I thought, like, no, I'm not ready to read this. So I kept the book. And that's when I realized that, okay, this is not my wish that I will read the book. When I am getting to that level of ascension, probably when I'm ready to read a certain information, then only I will read it. Or if it is required for my ascension, only then I am able to read it. That is very clear to me. So in part 1, when I was reading, I used to always read 1 page or 1.5 page, and you have to also assimilate what is written, right? You can't just keep reading. So normally when I read such books which are heavy, I would read 1 or 1.5 page, 2 pages maximum, and I would keep the things, I will process whatever, and then I will continue. So I read something over there, and it was about aliens and UFOs or something that again intrigued me. So I started thinking about it. I kept down the book, and 2-3 days I didn't open the book. I was processing many things. And again, in my meditation, the theta state, there was kind of a slideshow that came to me, and I saw 2 people. One person was blonde with white robe, blue eyes, yellow blonde hair, very sharp nose, and it also had a blue orb. So it was like a picture of that person, that it was not moving, it was a picture, portrait picture of that being, along with a blue orb alongside with that frame. So it was very clear for me that this is a very high soul having a blue orb in that, and it was very divine, like. And then that picture went, and then there was another picture of a lady, again a portrait, blonde hair, very hazel type of greenish eyes, very straight nose, very slim face. There was no orb over there in that picture, and it went. And then there was another visual of a spacecraft which was seen from below. So there is a light below the spacecraft, and I just can see the below side of the spacecraft. These 3 visuals I saw. I'm still, I mean, okay, there are possibilities that they are probably a spirit guide, or they are our own, like I was talking to somebody, they said that it must be your own version that was shown to you or whatever. But I know that these people are from that craft. They are my spirit team, somewhere that I understand. And those portraits were also very vivid. I mean, I can literally, I even drew them up because I was feeling that I will forget later the details. So the moment I saw them, I got up and I started drawing and seeing, like, oh yeah, this is how they look with all that. And that lady also had a tiara on her head with very intricate diamonds or whatever was there. After that, I started getting such slideshows. Okay, but this is one of the very major experience I had, which was very profound, where I really literally see those people, even though they were not moving and they were actually shown to me as pictures, not people. That also shifted many things for me. I mean, after that, probably I didn't pick up that chapter. And initially, I also felt that maybe I'm reading a book, so maybe my dreams are coming in the same subject. But no, dream is different, and such a vivid visual or a vision is completely different. So I can I can differentiate between the two. So I know that it's not my imagination. I was not imagining them. I was not even expecting something like that to happen when I was sleeping. So after I got that vision, I came across a book that exactly had the same figures. Not them, of course, but then I realized that, oh, these are from the same tribe or the same, because they are looking the same. Their this thing. So I picked that book and I read it, and there was so much that I could relate to. So also in that book there were certain phrases that the book uses, and I'm like, whatever guidance I received, I received the same phrases. For example, that book uses everywhere, communication is the key, communication is the key. In that book it is written. I always receive this message, communication is the key. So I somehow started realizing that, oh, these people are from the same team from where my spirit guides are talking. So it's like really uncannily similar to what the book says and what I receive. So probably it's their effort to let me know that, okay, we are from the same place, or whatever. So that's also one very profound thing. And such visions keep coming, but now it has kind of become a norm. So big. I don't feel that, oh, it's a big thing now, but this particular thing which I had, that was the first time I received that, and that because of that I was like really overwhelmed with that vision. But yeah, that was nice.
Okay, so you have traveled to other dimensions, other realms, and probably other galaxies or star systems.
Yes, and another funny thing is it very often happens when I'm having a bath. Especially I'm under shower, and normally when you are taking a shower you would close your eyes, right?
Relax.
In a fraction of a second that happens. Most of my spirit journeys, or these interdimensional realms, or these flowers, or these liquid things, most like 90% times it happens when I'm taking a bath or in meditation. Yeah.
Interesting and fascinating. um, so what we understand is that once we move into the fifth dimension or higher than fifth dimension, there is no concept of time and space. Essentially, time is a construct which is man-made, and it is here, and we experience everything as linear or sequential because we are in the 3D world. But when we are on the twin flame and ascension journey, there are higher vibration timelines available to us.
Yeah.
And especially what happens is, like in this matrix, as in day-to-day world, when you are with certain people, you realize that this is dense and this is lower vibration timeline. Whereas if you go to certain places which are vortex kind of places, where you realize that, okay, this is high vibration place. And when you are in a higher vibration, you can access the higher vibration timelines, and everything actually is manifested as energy first, and then it gets manifested into 3D. So what can you tell people, especially on the twin flame path, how to collapse the lower vibrational timelines and access those higher vibrational timelines and anchor them in over here?
I can share one of my profound experiences. One day I realized that I was anyways doing it, but without realizing that I was doing it. And one very amazing way to collapse your timeline is that to understand that the way we have this theory of multiverse, that there are so many versions of planet Earth existing simultaneously at the same time. So every choice that you make is diverting you to your choice, and it creates your reality, right? One way to collapse timelines, which I have unknowingly done and realized that, oh, this is a great way to collapse timelines, is that there are certain nodes of decision making that you go through in your life. Like, for example, your twin flame called you and you reacted in a certain way, and you said that, oh, don't talk to me, you blocked them. Okay? This was one incident that happened in your life. Or something happened in your past and your separation happened with your twin flame. So there are so many ifs and buts in our hearts that, oh, what if I should have should have done this, or what if I had not done this, or whatever. So I used to naturally play those things in my mind unknowingly, and I used to revisit those memories that, oh, even I had imagined this particular thing, that what if when he came to meet me and said that I want to speak to you. I had said this. I didn't say anything. I was just standing there. How stupid. I should have said something. That was one of my thoughts. So many times I have replayed those moments and changed those moments many times. That, oh, this happened this way. I don't want this to happen this way. Let's change that. So go back in your memory, go to that node where you actually said something, reverse that, or you choose something else for that specific thing. So instead of saying, not saying anything to him, I said something to him, or I just hugged him and I said, oh, whatever, I love you, or whatever. I could have done that, right? But I didn't. But okay, now let me go back in my meditation or my imagination. I go back there and I replay that moment. And when he comes in front of me and says something, I go and I hug him and I say, okay, I love you or whatever. And I feel so good in my heart that, oh my God, like this is cool. I should have done this, right? I used to do this unknowingly. And then as I started becoming aware of the timelines and how we can actually work with timelines, I realized that, oh, this can be a very good way. But you have to be, it's not necessary you have to be always aware of it, because I was doing it even without being aware of it. But then when I started being aware, I started intentionally doing these things. What is it that you didn't want? Go there, shift it, change it, and say that I release this from my consciousness. I don't do this. Because you have a free will, you are an interdimensional soul. So you can choose. So even though in this physical timeline, we see this as a linear timeline where we feel that, oh, this is a past now, how can you change that? No, don't believe that. You are able to change your past future in any way. It's your consciousness and your awareness that controls it. So go there, change it. Go there, change it. And I have done so many changes like that. And I have seen, and then you will also get into some sort of a trance zone or this thing where you are meditating. You go to a certain scenario. For example, this, that I hugged him and I said, I love you. What happens next? Of course, the next thing that happens will be obviously different than what actually happened in the past, right? So you somehow start seeing a certain movie without even your choice. That, oh, then he said this, then it's kind of a trance state. And then you feel so nice, because then once I had also seen this particular scene where somebody from my sessions had asked me a question that, what if you had not met him the way you met, that negative encounter and your fight with him, and it separated you for years. What if that had not happened? Maybe your journey would have not taken place or something like that. And I said, yeah, maybe it wouldn't have. Again, spontaneously something happened after that. And I saw a completely different timeline where both our dads, both of us lost our dads at very early age. I lost when I was 8-year-old. He lost his dad when he was 13. So we both have really got some sort of parallels in our lives in many ways. So in that state of trance, when I changed a certain thing, I saw a specific movie where my dad and his dad had a very good connection because we stayed in the same locality. Both of our dads were heavily into music when they were alive. So somehow they got together because of that same passion, and they got to know each other and they started meeting each other. That's how I met Prasad, and that timeline went completely into some different zone, and there was something very happy kind of thing that we are family friends and we know each other because of our fathers, and we both wanted to pursue music as our career. Even he wanted to, but that never happened. Even I wanted to, it never happened. But in that timeline, it happened. And because of our fathers and their encouragement, we both were into a music career, and we both became singers, and we married each other, and there was this very different type of unfolding. And when I came out of that trance, I saw a picture where his dog, mm, me, in a very young kind of a age, like maybe 23, 24, and we are wearing very denim type of clothes, like white t-shirt, denim jeans. And we are singers, and we are holding that dog, and I still have that picture in my mind. That, and I don't know from where it came, because I have never imagined like that ever. But um, I know that that was a timeline collapsing kind of a processor, where it shows you that if you choose a certain node, it can develop into something completely different. And how, okay, somebody would even ask that, okay, what's the big deal? Like, why are you imagining going back there? What change it actually can make in your current physical timeline, right? What I have understood, or what I have experienced, is that once you experience that timeline, it is also reflecting in many ways in your current time. Either it will heal your wounds, or your belief system, or something, or it would also, in some way, I feel that it would help to release your karma in some way, because you're choosing different things in that state. So I think everybody should experiment with this and see how you can collapse it. It's all about setting that intention, that something that you didn't want to happen, go there, change it with your intention, and see what happens. The spirit will show you. This is what I.
Wow. It's fascinating. Yeah. So it's like put an intention, experience that thing, feel it as if you're feeling it, and then it will change that. And then it does change the present and then the future, because you have changed the past.
It can also change your current state of mind, your pain or whatever. It definitely has the ability to heal your pain, your regrets. Definitely, yeah.
So you mentioned about the choices that we make are actually the decision points or the nodes, and they are important, and they decide which timeline. And eventually, as Bashar, Dolores Cannon, they all say that they form the different universes. So there are different timelines, and your choices can decide which universe you go to or which timeline you go to. In the ascension, and all twin flames are working towards ascension, what is important is to align yourself all the time with your higher self, and then make the choices accordingly, and that is how you ascend. In this case, how do you align with your higher self and take guidance from your higher self or your twin flames higher self? They may be the same or they may be different. In each case, it may be different. But how do you do that to make sure that, okay, the choices you are making are wiser ones and more aligned with higher self?
This whole thing, that listening to your higher self, it's not only related to timelines, but I think your whole spiritual realization or understanding.
Right.
And I think that is the thing of your human life as well as your spiritual life, because somewhere I feel that most of the people who start awakening spiritually will only progress when they are able to well connect with their higher self. If that doesn't happen, you will feel stuck, you will not understand, you will always keep seeking information from third parties, getting affected by what they tell you. There are people who say that, oh, that person said that this is not your twin flame, I am so much in pain. I mean, the moment you need validation from the third party, that means you still have the scope to improve and get to the point where you are connected well with your higher self. Unless that happens, you are still digging the foundation of your spiritual journey. You are not yet there. So it's a very, very significant thing when it comes to connecting with your higher self. And if I really want to say how to listen to your higher self or how to connect with your higher self, is by learning how to discern between your ego and how to connect with your intuition. most of us are not able to connect with your intuition because of also years of conditioning that you are not good enough, you have to always listen to others, our societal belief systems that you are not the boss of yourself, you are not God. You have to listen to somebody else, and that really makes us so vulnerable and dependent upon somebody else that we feel that there is nothing in our control. But that's not true, and because of that many people are not able to trust themselves, because of also the control, over control parenting, wrong parenting, that you're always made to listen to your parents, even forcefully when you don't want to do. So most of the people don't even know how it feels to listen to yourself. That concept itself does not exist. So it's a very challenging scenario when it comes to the matrix scenario, when a normal person is expected to listen to their higher self. There is a lot that they have to work on. But basics, if you really want to get into, it's like start discerning between your ego and your soul. And that will happen when you have at least initial awakening, where you know that you are not a human being in a physical body, you are a soul in your physical body. So you are able to understand and accept that you are a soul, you are an energy who has taken this physical body that also has an ego mind. So when you know that there are these two different things, there is a soul and there is an ego mind, and these two are separately functioning, once you understand that, only then it will be easier for you to connect with your higher self, because you know that whatever you are thinking right now is coming from your ego mind, but there is also a higher energy that governs you, or that's a part of you. You can listen to that energy because that's more powerful than your ego mind. Once you understand and accept that concept, then it becomes a little more possible for anybody to enter into this zone of listening to your higher self. And then when it comes to listening to your ego and your soul, how I would say the easiest way to discern is, your ego mind will always function in the duality. So you always see things from right, wrong, yes, no, black, white, should or should not, rules basically. So your thoughts are coming from your fear or your insecurity and duality, that, oh, you should not do this is not right, or this is good, you should do this. All these thoughts are coming from your ego mind. How do you discern? Based on duality. Is your thought based on yes and no principle? If yes, then that is coming from your ego mind. It's very easy to understand or dissect this. Anything that is coming from a very simple place, something like go for a walk, see that movie, pick that book, eat, sleep. These are emotionless, non-dual statements or thoughts that come to you. Those are coming from your soul. So anything that is coming from non-duality as a simple instruction or a simple statement or a simple thought, know that, okay, that's your heart. Anything that comes and tells you, oh, don't do this, you should not do this, or this is wrong, whatever, then that is coming from your ego. It comes with practice. Sometimes, of course, you can't be in that state 24/7 initially. Initially, you need to sit and do this exercise for 5 minutes and see what thoughts are coming to you and keep in different things. Oh, this is coming from the soul, this is coming from the ego. Once you start understanding how to discern with your own thoughts, you would understand, oh, and I'm not saying that don't listen to your ego. Sometimes you also need to listen to your ego, but you need to be aware. What are you choosing? Are you choosing your ego right now, or you are choosing your soul? You need to be well aware of that. Once you start understanding that, your connection with your higher self will start getting stronger, because you are now aware that you're choosing your soul, you are choosing your higher this thing. I think this is like, okay, there are many methods and ways to connect with your higher self, but this is the most simple and easy way to understand, to learn how to discern between. Because if you can't do that, how would you know that what your higher self is telling you? So the learning to discern is the most important thing. And once you do that, I think it would just flow. you will know that your higher self is speaking with you.
Okay. So do you follow any ritual to connect with your higher self? Like you follow sometimes theta frequency meditations to connect with your twin flame. Do you follow any such rituals to connect with your higher self?
No, so far I haven't. I have tried different things. It's not that I haven't, but if you ask me, I am naturally able to connect. And how did I understand that, or how did I realize that? Was when I started writing answers on Quora. Um, it just used to come. I mean, I used to feel that okay, I'm just writing whatever I feel, but then slowly I started realizing that I'm not even remembering many things which I'm writing. So I understood that okay, I'm able to connect even without my knowledge, and there is something that is happening. So it helped me to accept that I'm able to naturally connect. So most of the times the hindrance is that people are not able to believe that they are able to connect, right? That's the biggest hindrance, because they feel that oh, maybe I'm imagining, this is not my higher self. I kind of surpassed that by this realization that oh, without my knowledge I'm able to connect. So that challenge didn't come, that I was questioning. But in many cases these are the most hindering things, that you doubt that am I imagining, or is this really my higher self? So initially, for a beginner, I would say that don't question. It doesn't matter whether you are imagining or you are not imagining. Even if you accept that you are imagining, don't question that initially. It's okay if you are imagining, because the moment you start doubting that you are imagining, your connection is gone, because your doubt creeps in, your ego mind takes your control. So it's okay. You just be in the acceptance that it's okay completely that I'm imagining and I'm just having some imagine. How many times you will imagine? Maybe first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, not more than that. So someday you will start picking the real stuff. So I feel you don't have to question yourself. Doubting this thing is very natural. Everybody doubts it. So um, this first thought that I can connect with my higher self easily, that has to be accepted. Most of the time people are not able to understand how to connect because they don't believe itself. They feel that only some people can do that, I can't do it. So that has to be removed. Yeah.
You talked about discerning between ego, mind, and our higher self or soul. Now, when we live in this world, day to day world,
Yeah.
we need to use discernment quite a lot, especially when there are denser, or not to judge, but there are lower vibrational, denser kind of people, situations, relationships, and uh, when you are on this ascension journey, many of us are empaths, and we tend to consciously or unconsciously absorb energy from other people when we are having conversations, even normal conversations or anything.
Yeah.
So then, how do you discern in that case? What do people need to do?
Do you mean by in terms of protecting yourself against the energies
Yeah.
that you don't want?
Yes.
Initially, I really struggled with this because, as you said, I'm very sensitive person. If somebody is in pain, I would immediately start getting affected by empathizing with the person, right? So when I started doing sessions with a lot of people back to back, by the end of the day, I literally used to get so drained that I would not even able to be able to open my eyes. So much energy used to drain out of me only by simply sitting and listening to people. So um, then there was one healer I spoke to, and she said that you have to learn to protect your energy. So first, which I already knew from my theta healing, this thing that when you are healing somebody, uh, you are not using your energy, right? You are using the source. So you are just a channel to. So it is important to set this intention that even if you are putting energy for somebody else, it's not yours. You need to visualize that it is coming from the source, from your crown chakra to your heart, and then you are sending or utilizing that energy for healing or speaking or listening or whatever it is. So it is coming from the source, and somehow you have to make sure that you are praying and you are well protecting yourself by setting an energetic boundary where you, like, usually I do a certain prayer where I imagine a golden light or a white light around me, and I instruct my spirit guides to not let any sort of a energy, unless it is really positive, to enter in my energy field. So I'm making sure that I'm protecting myself and utilizing the source energy to indulge with anybody else. And when it comes to listening to somebody as an empath, this is the first rule I follow, that don't be empathetic when you're listening to somebody. So it's about your intention. Are you opening your energy up for another person? If you are not, then your energy will be protected. So even if I go out in a grocery store or anything, you need to set the intention that, okay, your energy is locked. You're not allowing anybody to enter in your energy field. So initially it was little difficult for me to, because, okay, having empathy and sympathy for somebody and guiding them is different, but being an empath and absorbing their energy is completely different. So I'm speaking from that perspective, that you don't have to be an empath who absorbs another person's energy. It remains with them. You don't have to take that. So I learned that with some sort of trial and error. And now I'm completely okay. Even if I speak to 10 people in a row, I'm completely okay. But it's extremely important to understand how to protect your energy, set your boundary, and not being such an empathetic person that you will start absorbing another person's energy. So I definitely follow some ground rules when I go. And another thing is, if you are well versed with NLP had certain techniques, right? That you teach your subconscious how to react in a certain scenario. So I learned it from somebody that for at least 10 to 15 days, sit in one place and imagine that you are protected in a golden light. And do all that thing, that you are protected, nothing negative comes in, only positive comes in, and all negative goes out, and you are setting your boundaries and you are well protected energetically. And then once you do that whole process, you instruct your mind with some action. So what I did was I associated that specific process, that I'm getting into the theta state, I am protecting myself with the energy, and it remains like that, with the action of snapping my finger. So when I say do this,
Anchor.
it's like all that process takes place in a fraction of a second. So I don't have to actually sit and meditate and do it, because my subconscious already knows that when I do this, I'm going to have a ball of energy around me and I'm protected, right? So it kind of helps, especially when you're out. So if you enter into a mall and if you want to really be sure that you don't want to engage in any other energy, you don't have to do the meditation and everything. You just do this and it's done. So that really works. It really works well. So yeah, so that's something which everybody should do, especially going out. Those people who are very energetically sensitive, or those people who are prone to entity attacks and things like that, for those people it is absolutely helpful. Yeah.
I have a few questions which I ask all my guests. The first one is, and it's like a rapid fire, so whatever comes to your mind. If you want to explain multidimensional soul to a layman, how will you explain?
Floor of a building, the same character being present at every floor.
Okay. What is holistic well-being to you?
Non-judgment, freedom of choice.
What is love according to you?
The ultimate truths of the universe. The only truths, I would say.
What is self-love?
Self-love. Okay, this is tricky. Self-love. There is so much to talk about it. I think self-love is standing by your own truths, whatever it is. Having courage to stand by your own truths. That would be another definition of self-love.
What is the ultimate purpose of life?
I would again say non-judgment, freedom of choice, live and let live, understanding unconditional love. I think most of the people take lifetimes. I mean, most of the human beings, why we are here, because we don't yet understand what's love. That's why we are getting into all these karmic cycles and grudges and karma, right? But if we understand unconditional love, we would be out of the whole matrix. So, yeah, ultimate purpose of life is understanding unconditional love.
Okay. What's your parting message for our audience?
Okay, there is one thing that is really coming to me, probably from my guides as well, that many of us, we try to segregate our spiritual life with our physical life. And we are kind of compartmentalizing things that, oh, this is my spiritual journey, this is my, and we are not willing to mix the two. So if somebody is going through a twin flame experience, for example, they are afraid of sharing that with their kids or accommodate their other life with their experience. And somewhere I feel it's high time for us to start dismantling that partition and be more open and in whichever way. It's not like you have to put all your cards down at once, but start being more and more open to our friends, our family members, or overall, and not compartmentalize yourself into a cocoon, feeling that, oh, I'm the only one going through it. Maybe there are 10 more people who are also going through the same experience that you are going through, but just because you don't speak out, you don't understand that another person is also going through a similar challenge. So, speaking out and making it a norm is the most important thing. And I just remember somebody had commented on my video where I had made this twin flame video where I had said that your twin flame's higher self is always with you. So there are two versions of your twin flame, your physical self of your twin flame and the higher self of. So the person who commented that, who said that, he said that you have really made it very normal, like listening to somebody's higher self is a very normal. Like he said, when I listened to this video, I thought that this was very normal. There is nothing abnormal in this experience. And I like that comment because I feel we have to normalize certain experiences because we are ascending. It's not like the moment you keep compartmentalizing into the physical and the spiritual, you won't be able to make that shift. So normalizing your experience and speaking about it is the most important thing. That's what I would say.
Oh, beautiful. And where can people find you? Where can they connect with you?
So anybody who wants to connect with me, I have my own website that is called awakenwithpradnya.com. I write on Quora. So if you go on Quora and type Pradnya Pandit, you will get my profile. I am available on Instagram. Again, my Instagram handle is Awaken with Pradnya. You can also email me if there is anything. That is awakenwp@gmail.com.
And you also have a YouTube channel. So
Oh, yeah.
we'll mention
And
everything.
I have a YouTube channel that is also called Awaken with.
So we'll give everything in the description. It's been lovely to have you here.
Same here.
Such an enriching and such in-depth conversation. And I just loved having you here.
Thank you so much. And I wish all the best for your channel. You are absolutely doing amazing work. And just the way I shared right now, that it's very important to speak up. I think Akanksha is really doing an amazing work by calling so many different people from different backgrounds who have been going through different types of spiritual experiences. Because I feel you are actually, by putting forward such diverse people in different ways, you are actually normalizing many things, and that's very important. So thank you for doing this work. It's very, very important.
Thank you for watching and listening in wherever you are in the world. As Ramdas says, that we all are just walking each other home. So thank you for co-creating the new earth along with me and our guests. And if you resonate with me, do subscribe to my channel and do let us know how you find our episodes. Thank you so much. Lots of love.